Have you started to build out workflows in your Redtail CRM, or maybe you just haven't had the time to really talk about the internal account servicing things that you're doing for your clients? Now, in today's video, we're going to show you a real life example and share a lot of best practices tips on the address, phone, and email change requests that may come from your clients more often than not. And we're going to be showing you how to actually build out the workflow, a couple of tips as well, and just making sure that you get a brief understanding of how to do these things inside of your Redtail CRM. Hey, it's Matthew. If you're looking to build workflows that actually work and help your firm scale and grow, please feel free to grab your copy of Mastering Strategies to Avoid the RA Disaster. The link will be in the description below. And if you're serious about building workflows, processes, and automations for your firm, let's connect. Schedule an intro call with us using the link in our description below, and we'd be more than happy to get to know you and your firm. All right, now back to the video. So in our example today, we're going to be talking about the account servicing workflow, address, phone, and email changes. And we also wanted to give you some insight onto other account servicing workflows that you could be potentially building out after this. So a couple of other examples that we've seen a lot of financial advisory firms and RIAs build out are, let's say, the beneficiary changes, as we know that happens more often than not, as well as any cashiering or money movement requests like a distribution or a contribution, or maybe you're talking about some other types of money movements that may happen within your firm. So those are just a couple of quick examples of other types of account servicing workflows that you could start building out. But let's dive into the example we have in front of us today. So in our example today, we have the address, phone, and email change that may come in as a client servicing or account servicing request to your firm. Now, what this can look like is maybe a client calls in and they notify you that they're going to be changing their address. Maybe they're moving soon. This is a great example of a workflow that should be launched directly right after that call is made or that email is sent to you. So above here, you'll see that we have a brief description as to what this workflow is supposed to be accomplishing. We are just making sure that the address, phone, or email gets changed and internally updated, as well as we start the paperwork process, whether that is a physical signature or an e-signature, and we send that out directly to the client. We'll go ahead and start here with our first step, and we'll just focus in on anything internally that needs to happen. So when you talk about internal things, we're talking about your CRM, your financial planning software, maybe use some other also additional financial planning softwares, or you have other places where you need to update their address, like maybe a billing platform. This is always beneficial to do, and make sure that you have two different things. So when we talk about workflows, we want to make sure that we have the step built out, but we also have additional tasks that are built within each step. So when we delineate why we need different steps and different tasks, it's really down to one thing. We want to make sure that these steps are getting completed and the task within them in a specific time frame. So if you want to think about these steps as having to be done on a specific day, this is why we're going to see multiple steps built out throughout this workflow. So to give you an example, we have this update internal records, then we need to prepare and send e-signature requests, and then we actually need to confirm that those have actually been completed and kind of closing the loop with confirming back with the client. Now, we know that these can happen all in one day, but realistically, they're probably not. So we're going to make sure that we build these out as separate steps, and we'll list the task under each one of these steps. So talking about our example here, updating internal records, if I click into our first internal record that we need to update, it's our CRM in Redtail. So I'll go ahead and I want to make sure that every step that I'm building has at least two things. We want to make sure that it has a brief description as to what needs to be accomplished for this specific task. And then we also want to make sure that the standard operating procedure, the SOP of the step-by-step play on how to get it done is built directly into this task. Now, it may be a bit cumbersome. You may find that, hey, like typing all these things out is just a little heavy for us, and we can't really, get these things done efficiently if we're doing that and really taking away time from the clients. So we always suggest maybe implementing a video capturing software like Loom. Loom's a great option for you to start building out those SOPs. It's really easy. You just have to click a button, you record your whole screen, and then you essentially plop in that link here so that if someone doesn't understand how to get this thing done, like where in Redtail we're actually updating the client's information, you can have that built directly as a link so that they can follow along, just so you don't have to teach the next person, and it really lives as a firm processing. So in our example again, let's say that we have a proficient team here, they're getting through the workflows, so we've actually completed this step and got the Redtail contact card updated with that new address that our client is moving to. Our next step here is just going to be wanting to build out the actual task for updating the financial planning software. Now, their net worth may be tied to their address. Maybe they're selling it off, so you have to go back into the financial planning software. But again, for this case, we are just talking about updating the address and getting them signatures so that they update their address in the custodian, and we internally update it into our records on our servers and our CRM. Next, we'll go ahead and complete this, and then we'll be brought up to a page here to actually choose the outcome. Now, in this case, there's only going to be one outcome. So once the internal records have been updated, we're going to go ahead and start prepping the DocuSign or the e-signature request. So now we have the e-signature request stages here and a couple of different tasks within this step. So the first one is going to be preparing the actual form. So I want to make sure that it gets prepared. After that, we're going to go ahead and actually send it off to the client. And just so that we elevate the client experience as our last step, I want to make sure that I send them a formal email from someone on the team. We know that custodians will send out an email, maybe it's just automated, and a lot of clients disregard those. So we just want to make sure that this is in front of them. They know it's someone on our team that is reaching out to them to let them know that they should be completing this e-signature request. So that'll be our second step here. So I'll go ahead and complete it. And again, typically there's only going to be one outcome there. So we'll move on to our third step here, which is actually going to be confirming that the client has finished their e-signature request. We know a lot of firms aren't utilizing workflows because it's complex to build these things out, but we're giving you this step-by-step plan, what we've seen a lot of other firms implement, so that hey, I have a safety check. Instead of a task, I have a workflow now that I can follow, so that if I know, let's say it's been 2 days since we sent the DocuSign or the e-sign request, and let's say I just haven't followed up. I have an outcome that is built out that is going to restart this step, and it's going to make sure that this step gets completed 2 days later. This is very important for your team, and just so that you can keep track of how many times have we reached out to this client to get this thing done. So let's say now that I've actually finally checked the custodian and they have updated their e-signature request, they've completed it. I'm going to go ahead and choose our other outcome here once it uploads, and I'll go ahead and click on complete, and we'll move on to our final two steps here in the workflow. So that first final step here is going to be making sure that the custodian actually updates the account. We all know that those e-signatures can get done and they can be sent off for processing, but we do need to keep a close eye to make sure that those things get done at our custodian. So I'll go ahead, and let's say that change happens instantly. I'll go ahead and complete this step. And then our final step here to actually closing out the loop is emailing the client back, just letting them know, again, providing that high quality touch point for our clients that their information has been updated and we took care of it for them. So I'll go ahead and complete this step, and we're done. So that's an example of a account servicing workflow, and more specifically an address, phone, or email change that we see a lot of firms implementing. And we hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please feel free to subscribe and like this video, as again, we provide a lot of content like this and we know it's valuable to you and your firm.